We are going to finish Module 5 in Unit 9, Looping and Program Development. And in order to talk about looping, we need to refresh our memories on the relational operators. We were using these in the branching in Unit 8. We also need to refresh our memory on the logic operators that we also used in Unit 8. Now we introduced 4 different types of program flow: top-down, invocation, branching, and the final program flow that we're going to be talking about is looping. There are 2 types of looping structures that we're going to talk about, and the first one is a for loop. This is what a for looks like. So Python is a case-sensitive language, so the keyword is for. I'm going to have some sort of a variable, and then I'm going to use in range, and inside of that parentheses, I'm going to put a number. We use the same full colon that we did in our branching structures, and then I'm going to tab in to do stuff. So it might look something like for count in range 10. Now count is just the name of a variable. I'm going to print interesting. So all I'm going to do is print this, and it will actually print this 10 separate times. Here's another example. For count in range 15, print the value of count. This time I'm going to see what's inside my count variable. So it should print 15 numbers starting from 0 to 14. So let's try this out and see what we can do with looping. So let's see if we can get a for loop to run 10 times. I'm going to use the keyword for. I'm going to create a variable called count. I'm going to use the keywords in range. And inside of these parentheses, I'm going to put a 10. When I have a full colon and I press the enter key, it's going to automatically tab in for me. And then let's just print something. So we'll print I inside of a loop, and let's see if it will do that 10 times. Well, it can be kind of hard to tell if it did it 10 times. I'm going to have to count them up in my output. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can see that there are 10 of them there. I'm going to add a couple of things to this so that on my display, I can tell that I am printing a loop that is counting 10 times. So I'm going to add this print statement at the beginning, and I'm also going to add a print statement at the end because we're going to do several loops, and I want to be able to separate them from one another. So if I run it again, I can see a little bit of a header there. All right, so now let's add another one that's to see if we can print a message 5 times. So I'm going to put a comment saying that I'm printing a message 5 times. I'm going to create a variable called message, and I'm going to use input to read in a message. And once I've done that, we're going to create the for loop for count in range. If I want to do this 5 times, I'm going to put 5 inside of there. We have the full colon, and now I'm just going to print the message. And let's see what this looks like. So I'll have a message. This is on. I'll put an exclamation point, and it should print my message 5 times. So I'm going to add a print statement on line 15 so that I can separate the runs of the program like the print statement on line 8. Now notice those are flushed to the left because I don't want them as a part of the for loop, and if they were tabbed in, they would be a part of the for loop. So I don't want to have to count my output to make sure that it's actually printing the number of times that I expected. So this time what we're going to do is we're going to display my counter variable, and we're going to use one of the most famous counters in American culture in order to count cookies. I'll put my header information saying that we are counting cookies, and I'm going to say for count in range 12, and I need a message that says something like, I have 1 cookie, blah, ah, ah. And you may notice that that is the count from Sesame Street. So I'm going to use my string format way of printing things. So inside of my print statement, I have the leading F, and then I have inside of my parentheses the statement that I want to print. And this is my counter variable that I'm going to replace whatever value my count variable contains. And so I'm going to surround it by curly braces. So let's run it and see what we get. So there is my message. This is still fun. And now I can see that we are counting 12 cookies. Now notice as we count down that it's actually going from 0 to 11. So I'm going to put a comment on line 21 that says that this is ranges from 0 to 11 when I would expect it to be going 1 to 12. And the reason for this, let me scroll over just a little bit. The reason for the range 0 to 11 in the cookies that I'm counting is because that range automatically starts at 0, but then it ends before it reaches 12. So the initial starting point is a 0. The ending point is up to but not including 12. So if I were to count these, I have 12 of them, but they are indexed 0 to 11. So I'm going to put another print statement flush to the left on line 22. And now we're going to do some birthday greetings, and we're going to see that the problem that my index from 0 to 11 on the cookies can cause. So I'm going to prompt the user for their age, and I'm going to use that variable for count in range. Now instead of putting a number inside of here, I'm going to put the variable that we just captured on line 26. So instead of hard coding the range, I'm actually going to use the range that was input. And this time I would really like to say 1 happy birthday, 2 happy birthdays, something like that. So I'll add a print statement on line 28. Let's run it and see what we get. So I'll put a message in there. I have my cookies counting from 0 to 11, print the age. If they are 8, I would hope it would say start with 1 birthday greeting all the way up to 8 birthday greetings. But we already decided that that range, the starting point is 0 and the ending point is up to but not including that ending point, which is inside of there. So how in the world can I be a little bit more user-friendly by making it say 1 birthday greeting up to 8? So I'm going to add another print statement. I will comment out the first one. I'm going to add a more friendly print statement on line 29. And this time, instead of just showing the counter variable inside of the curly braces, I'm going to add the counter variable plus 1. So when my count variable is 0, it should display 1. When my count variable is 1, it should display 2. That means if I run this, it should display all the way up to 8, which is what our 8-year-old would like to see. And there we go. Now I have 1 to 8 birthday greetings. This is a much more friendly greeting. I did have to comment out the print statement on line 28. Otherwise, I would be duplicating those print statements. I'm going to add the print statement on line 30 that is flushed to the left, and then I would actually like to have a little bit more grammatically correct birthday greetings. Let me tab that up just a little bit. Because if you'll notice in my output, it says 1 birthday greeting singular, and then 2 birthday greetings, and everything after that should be plural. So to have a more grammatically correct birthday greeting, I need to be able to say when my counter variable is 1, I need to be able to say birthday greetings singular, and the rest of the time I need to say birthday greetings plural. So we're going to use the same for loop for count in range age. I am going to use that same variable that I captured on line 26 instead of asking again. But this time inside of my for loop, I need to be able to decide if I should display 1 birthday greeting or multiple birthday greetings, plural. And we have learned a way that I can make decisions based upon logic. And so we're going to use an if statement. So I'm going to put inside of this for loop, I'm going to tab in, and instead of just printing something, I'm going to put that if statement. So I'm going to say if my counter variable is 1, I actually want to print a singular birthday greetings. Now on line 29, in order to get it to go from 1 to 8, we had to say count plus 1. So I'm going to include the same count plus 1 inside of this print statement. And I'm going to add the else portion of my if statement so that if count is equal to 1, it will print singular birthday greeting. Else, or the rest of the time, it should print birthday greetings plural. So let's run it and see what it does. So this is the age. We're trying 8. This is good. All right, so it says 1 to 8. Now the problem is that 1 printed plural and 2 printed singular. But I still have the 1 to 8. And this is happening for exactly the same reason that we were printing 1 to 8 birthday greeting to begin with, because the initial value is 0. It starts at 0. So if I compare my counter variable to a 1, the first value that my count variable is going to contain is a 0. And so, just as I had to say count plus 1 to get my display to display from 1 to 8, I'm also going to have to say count plus 1 here so that we can use a counter variable 1 to 8. So let's run it one last time. And then we will do 8 again. And here we go. Now I have 1 birthday greeting singular all the way up to 8 birthday greetings plural. So this shows that we can put things inside of for loops besides just print statements. And I just noticed that my if statements were tabbed in twice instead of once, but it looks like Python is good enough to not mind that my if-else statement is tabbed in twice instead of just once.